You're looking at a building that shouldn't exist. Not because it's tall, but because of when it was built. The world is collapsing. Money is gone. Jobs are disappearing. People are just trying to survive. And right in the middle of that chaos, someone decides to build the tallest structure on Earth. Not slowly, not carefully, but at a speed that still doesn't make sense today. One floor, almost every single day. No modern machines. No advanced tech. Just raw coordination, steel, and human risk. So here's the real question. Why would anyone take that kind of risk at the worst possible moment in history? Because this wasn't just about building something tall. It was about sending a message so loud, the entire world would have no choice but to look up. And by the time you understand what that message really was, you'll realize this building was never just about height. New York is not trying to build buildings anymore. It's trying to beat itself. Every skyline change is a challenge. Every new floor is a statement. And right before this building rises, there's already a war happening in the sky. On one side, you have the Chrysler Building, secretly pushing its height higher with a hidden spire, revealed at the last second just to win. On the other side, the Empire State Project refuses to lose. Designs keep changing. Plans get adjusted. Height gets increased again and again, not because it's needed, but because being second isn't acceptable. This isn't engineering anymore. This is ego. This is power. This is two visions fighting for one title, the tallest thing humans have ever built. And when the Empire State finally locks in its height, it doesn't just aim to win. It aims to make sure no one can catch up. But chasing height is one thing. Actually building it, at the speed they're about to attempt, is something completely different. They don't just want to win the race. They want to finish it before anyone else even understands what's happening. Construction starts, and instead of slowing down under pressure, it accelerates. Steel arrives in perfectly timed deliveries. Crews are divided into small, specialized teams. Each group does one job over and over, with almost no delay between steps. Columns go up. Beams lock in. Floors take shape. And then it repeats. Again, again, again. At one point, the structure is rising at nearly one floor per day. Not one plan at a time, but multiple layers moving at once, like a machine that never stops. Workers are hundreds of feet above the ground, balancing on narrow steel, with no safety systems like today. One mistake ends everything. But the system doesn't break. Because everything is timed. Everything is controlled. This isn't speed. This is precision disguised as speed. And in just over a year, 102 floors stand where there was nothing. But here's the part that makes it even harder to understand. They didn't build this during a boom. They built it when the entire world was falling apart. Now step back for a second and look at the timing. This isn't happening during growth. This isn't happening when money is flowing. This is 1930. The Great Depression is hitting hard. Banks are collapsing. Businesses are shutting down. Millions of people are out of work, standing in lines just to eat. And right in the middle of that, this project doesn't slow down. It goes all in. Financing something this massive during an economic crash isn't logical. There's no guarantee of profit. There's no certainty anyone will even rent the space when it's done. In fact, when it opens, large parts of the building stay empty. People even start calling it the empty state building. Think about that. You build the tallest structure on Earth, and no one's inside. So why do it? Because this wasn't built for short-term success. It was built as a signal. A signal that even in the worst moment, you can still aim higher than everyone else. And slowly, that signal starts to work. Because once the building is standing, people don't just see empty floors. They see possibility. And that's when everything begins to change. At first, people don't fill the building. But they can't ignore it. Because no matter where you stand in New York, it's there. Higher than everything. Impossible to miss. And slowly, That visibility turns into something else. Recognition. Then fascination. Then identity. The Empire State Building stops being just a structure and starts becoming the image of the city itself. Movies begin to use it as a symbol. Postcards carry its silhouette across the world. Tourists don't just visit New York. They come to see this. Even companies want to be inside it, not just for space, but for what it represents. Being in this building means you're part of something bigger. And while other buildings compete for height, this one quietly takes over attention. Because it's no longer just the tallest. It's the most recognized. The most remembered. The one people look at when they think of ambition. But here's what most people never stop to ask. How does a building this tall actually work? How does it stay standing, stable, and functional every single day? What keeps this building standing isn't just height. It's how the weight moves. Inside the Empire State Building, everything is built around a steel skeleton. Not solid walls holding it up, but a frame that spreads force across the entire structure. Instead of pressure hitting one point and cracking it, the load travels down through columns, evenly, floor by floor. That's why it doesn't collapse under its own weight. Then there's the shape. Notice how it doesn't go straight up like a box. It steps back as it rises. Those setbacks aren't for style. They reduce wind pressure and keep the building stable when strong gusts hit at higher levels. And inside, the real system is vertical. Elevators are layered in zones, moving people efficiently without clogging the entire shaft system. Without that, a building this tall wouldn't function. Every detail solves a problem you don't see. Because the goal isn't just to build tall. The goal is to make tall work. But even with all that engineering, no building stays on top forever. For decades, nothing comes close. The skyline grows. New buildings rise. But none of them take the crown. Then finally, it happens. In 1970, the World Trade Center is completed, and for the first time, the Empire State is no longer the tallest. The title is gone. And normally, that's where the story ends. But not here. Because even after losing the height, it doesn't lose attention. People don't suddenly stop looking at it. Movies don't replace it. Tourists don't ignore it. If anything, it becomes more iconic. Because now, it's not just the tallest building people remember. It's the one that defined what tall even meant. And then something unexpected happens. In 2001, after the Twin Towers are gone, the Empire State Building quietly becomes the tallest in New York again, even if only for a time. Not by competing. Not by changing. Just by still being there. And that's the difference between breaking records and creating legacy. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Almost a century later, in a world full of taller, more advanced buildings, this one still refuses to become irrelevant. So when you step back and look at everything, the speed, the risk, the timing, the fact that it even exists, you start to see the real point. The Empire State Building was never just about being the tallest. It was built to prove something. That even when the system around you is breaking, you can still build higher than everyone else. That limits aren't always physical. Most of them are timing, fear, and hesitation. And the people behind this didn't wait for the perfect moment. But because of what it represents every time you look at it. A decision. To move forward when everything says stop. And once you see it that way, you stop looking at buildings the same. Because now the question isn't how tall something is. It's what it took to build it. And if one structure can carry that much meaning, then imagine what other buildings around the world are really trying to say.